never don't let we cannot falter in the battle. We're tried and true. Indiana, we're all.
Welcome, everybody, to the Indiana Basketball Show on the Really True Sports Network. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, with our other host, Indiana Hoosier legend, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
How you doing, Mike? I'm doing okay. Dismal Super Bowl, dismal IU Michigan game. But the great thing is, Daytona 500 qualifying Wednesday, Twin 125s on Thursday.
Nobody cares.
The great American race, Sunday at 2 o'clock. Be there.
All right, Steve.
You know what? NASCAR is the only sport that starts the season with their Super Bowl.
Yeah, and, it'll be just as crappy as what we saw the other day. But I did enjoy watching Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs get beat. But Indiana lost to Michigan. Another poor start. Fell behind by 18 points in the first half. They actually came back, made it a game, lost the game at the end. Steve, what was your takeaway from this epic
It's a
battle?
carbon copy of the season. I mean, it's just an absolute carbon copy. A team of great talent. It's a bunch of great underachievers as well. I mean, there is no way this team should be now basically without a miracle out of the tournament. This is far too talented of a basketball team across the board. The top 8 players are as good as any top 8 players in the Big Ten. We'll get to the coaching situation here after we conclude the breakdown of this game, but there's really nothing new you can add. I mean, basically 3-point wise, Michigan didn't beat us. Rebounds, go over the stats here. Rebounds 37-31. We got out rebounded. It's like Balo wasn't even in the game. He scored only 6 points and 4 rebounds.
We only had 7 turnovers. They had 12. I mean,
I can't believe we only had 7 turnovers. I thought we had that in the first 5 minutes of the second half.
I don't know. Because really, when you look at the stats, I mean, we outshot them from 3-point range. Made more threes.
We had no technical fouls.
Well, we never did we?
I don't know. Isn't a flagrant foul technically a technical foul?
Technically a technical foul? I don't know. I assume technically it's technically a technical foul, but
we shot the respectable 73% as a team from the free throw line. They shot 85. Field goals 70. Oh no, it was free throws. Regular field goals 44%. We were 41. We put more shots up than they did. We just hit a few less. But the thing is, Mike, we came out and we were not in the game from the get-go. And then we battled back a little bit. And it's like we wake up for a short period of time. Then we decide, let's go back to sleep. And it doesn't seem to matter what 5 he's got in the game. I mean,
it does because
we talk about Goody and Galloway, and they didn't give us a lot of production.
I never talk about Galloway in a good way. I will Goody, but you know what? I mean, Goody never gets a chance to actually start.
Well, he only took 3 shots in the game.
Well,
for him to be effective, he's got to be taking 10 to 20 shots a game for Goody to be effective.
Well, I would say he would have to play more. And
he played what? He played 37 minutes? 27 minutes. He played 27 minutes. That's over half the game.
Well, all I can tell you is this. Whenever you play Renew and Balo together, nothing turns out good, Steve.
Yeah, well, that's proven to be true. I mean, I can't – was going to debate that with you earlier in the season, but right now I can't find anything to laud about this basketball team that they do well. And it all hinges on their effort they put forth. I mean, we just right now we're just getting outplayed by everybody, out hustled.
Yeah, and Danny Wolf, he's a stud at 7 foot. And that's the thing. Wolf and Golden can take you 20 feet out and you have to go guard them. If Umar Balo or goes out 20 feet, nobody's respected that. And when you look at IU, Renew was 7 for 14, 16 points. And Mackenzie Mbako still playing well, 15 points. Balo just 6 points. And I'll still say it. That last play where Miles Rice forced a shot against Purdue, there was something going on with those two, and I don't think that has left Balo yet. Miles Rice 12 minutes, 2 points. Anthony Leal, 32 minutes. He had 12 points. He actually played well. Bryson Tucker, we talked about it. Dude, this is the guy that you want here playing next year.
He's feisty. I mean, he's feisty
but he
as
only
hell.
played 11 minutes.
No, come on. Get the guy. The guy was stirring, mixing it up. He was pushing people around.
Yeah.
He's playing what we think is IU basketball now. You know, but yeah, I saw it in number 8 in the game. And I thought, God, he's an ornery cuss. And I was like, God, I want to watch this guy. And all of a sudden he was stirring the pot. But unfortunately, when you got 1 of 5 stirring the pot and he's only getting 10 minutes to do that out of a 40-minute game, what the hell?
Yeah, and he made a difference. The game before that, he played 22 minutes. I think he scored like 9 or 10 points, and he got some stuff done. And the thing here is this team continuously falls behind, and that's not a recipe for winning games in the Big Ten or anywhere, you know, but they made a habit of that this season. It is a horrible habit to have. And Miles Rice was benched for the second half, which I was glad to see because it should have happened a long time ago. Mackenzie Mbako carried Indiana in the second half. Indiana had no answer for Danny Wolf, who was the best player on the floor. He was a Yale transfer, finished with 20 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block shot in 35 minutes. And this is the difference. I mean, Indiana got back in the game, and that's great. They tried really hard for like 15 or 20 minutes in this game. Unfortunately, it's 40 minutes. But in the end, Michigan made plays with the game on the line.
But Mike, can't we just pick almost any game from the Big Ten on where we said I can find 10 or 15 minutes in any game that Indiana played well, like they should play.
But that's all you can.
The problem is, at some point, when does the coaching staff teach them to sustain that effort for 35 minutes and say, okay, we can have a bad 5-minute run somewhere, but we got to make that up with 35 great IU basketball minutes of basketball. That never materialized this season.
No, we
did not have one astounding win this year.
Dude, it hasn't maintained itself at any point in the 4 years. I mean, we've talked about this. Even Trace Jackson-Davis' senior year or junior year where he played well.
Yeah.
That team won because of Trace. And I think the stat I saw was against
Trace 10. Played hard. Trace played his ass off on the court.
Yes.
And who was the other big guy, too? Who was the other big guy that he had with him?
Race Thompson.
Race Thompson played hard.
Yeah.
Those two went after loose balls. They got on the floor. They pushed people around. You know, Trace made you guard him outside, took you to the hole every time. He was left-handed, so it was hard to guard. You're not used to it. You know, Race was just a beast. I mean, but the big difference is between these guys, between Ballo and Mbako, those two don't play hard.
You mean Renew?
Well, Renew and I don't even think really Mbako plays hard all the time. I don't think he plays hard on defense. What I enlighten Mbako to is the cream of the crap. You know, he plays the hardest of anybody on the court, but I don't see anybody playing hard. And that's what pisses me off.
Well, I think Leo plays hard, but he's a limited player. Goody plays hard, but he's a limited player. Galloway
plays hard. Yeah, Galloway will play hard, but he makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, Galloway probably gives you the hardest effort of anybody on the court, gets up and down the floor, but damn it, he just makes some dumb turnovers.
Yeah, there's at least 3 passes a game that are turnovers to give up points.
We're so far behind when he makes the turnovers, they don't affect the game anyway.
No, nothing really.
They don't.
The game. We suck, but
we suck. This team just does not play hard basketball.
Brian Wetters.
Enough that if they played hard basketball, we'd freaking be we'd be getting a bye in the Big Ten tournament.
Right now, we don't even know if we're going to make the Big Ten tournament. So you've got
Brian. Teams that don't make the tournament?
Yeah, there are teams. Robert,
how many teams do not make the tournament?
Robert's watching. Robert, how many teams don't make it? I think it's like 4 or 5.
I think it's 4.
Yeah, if it's the bottom 4, then Indiana's definitely in trouble because I think they're sitting like with only 4 teams below them right now. And Robert says every time.
Brian, it's hard at this point in the season because we were inconsistent earlier. Brian, I got to tell you, we're still inconsistent. That hasn't changed late in the season.
I don't know if it's inconsistency or just the fact that we're not any good.
Well, you got to be good at some point to be inconsistent, right?
Yeah, I think they are what they are, unfortunately.
I think it's a bad mix between coaching and playing. I think that the communication never got to where it needs to be. The bottom four don't play in the Big Ten tournament, so Indiana's in that jeopardy range right now. What's the Big Ten standings? Pull them up.
Oh hell, you really want to see them? Because that'll make you
We're
feel.
at 5-8, and going to get worse. It's going to get worse than 5-8.
It's going to get worse.
We got to go to Michigan State tomorrow. We're at Michigan State right now. We got to face a UCLA team on Valentine's Day that is playing as good a basketball as anybody in the Big Ten right now. Then you got Purdue coming home for a grudge match. You don't know what's going to happen. Penn State always plays well in Bloomington. Washington,
everybody plays well in Bloomington, Steve. Damn.
Well, but Penn State generally has our number for some reason. Then we've got to go to Washington, and then 3 days later, they got to hang out in the West Coast for 3 days. Then they got to play Oregon, which was a ranked team until just recently. And then they come home to face OSU, which seems to always have our number 2. So it's not inconceivable those teams done winning ball games.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull up the Big Ten standings as of right now.
Let's pull up the Big Ten standings.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
What roles does the rest of Coach Woodson's present staff perform? I believe some of them, give him a bath. Some of them massage him. One of them lights his cigar.
Come on, don't just let it go. We'll talk about.
It was a question, and I'm telling you what I actually think
You're
they
being
do.
Facetious.
No,
what role do they play?
They're yes men.
Because right now I think Wow, you're cutting me out.
No, I didn't. How did I cut you out? You wanted to see the freaking standings. I just
who the hell can read that?
Well, anybody watching on their TV.
Anybody watching on a 100-inch big screen.
Oh man. All you do is
who are the bottom 4?
There. The bottom 4. Oh, well, you've got Minnesota, Northwestern, Iowa, Rutgers. I think we're missing Washington there. Maybe
are we safe from staying out of the bottom 4?
No, hell no.
No, because I don't know that we can win another game.
Well, if you can't win another game, you're
definitely in the bottom 4.
Yeah, you're going to be out.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Right now, you couldn't say it. We pulled it down, but I will tell you right now what you got is this: 18th is Penn State with 3 wins. 17th is Washington with 3 wins. 16th is Minnesota. 15th is Northwestern. They both have 4 wins. Now you go to 13 or 18, 17, 16, 15. 14th is Iowa. They would be the last team in right now, 4-8. Indiana is 5-8. And Rutgers is 5-8. Oregon is 5-8. USC is 5-7. So
we're 1 game short of being in the bottom 4.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah.
Yeah,
because right now 4-9.
Well, we got to play. How many of those teams do we have to play that are below us?
Unfortunately, not too many. Everybody we play is above us now because we've got to play Purdue again, which is first. Michigan State, who's
UCLA.
second. UCLA, who's 5th.
Oregon.
Oregon is horrible right now. Oregon has played poorly. Oregon lost to Minnesota like a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Nebraska's hot. We got to play Ohio State. Ohio State is 6-7. They've played well as of late, but they didn't look very good yesterday, losing to Nebraska. So actually, I don't think we play anybody left that's below us. So the big question is how many of those teams play each other so they can get some extra wins.
Yeah, we got to keep those teams from winning.
Yeah, because right now Northwestern is the last team out at 4-9. We are actually 1 game ahead of them at 5-8.
Oh well, I mean, what do you say? I mean, I'm sure people listening think I'm an asshole right now.
Well, you are. I've known you for almost a decade. And you're an asshole.
I'm an asshole, and my wife called me an asshole last night.
And she's known you for.
Here's the funny one. My son was going to get a new pair of sneakers, and I asked you. He said, my wife said, "Where are you going?" She goes, "I think I'm going to go to Vans." And I said, "Well, is there a Dick's in the area?" And my son looked at me and said, "Yeah, I'm looking at one." I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, he lives at your house, right?
Yeah, he was looking at me. He goes,
Does
"Yeah,
he
I'm looking at one."
any of the rent?
I mean, that was good for my son.
Pay any of the rent, Steve?
No, he doesn't pay any of the rent.
It's not funny. He's just being an asshole. He's just like his dad.
No, he's buying us a new Blackstone grill, though.
Wow.
So my wife can cook him a steak on it.
See, if you'd have brought your ass back to Indiana, you could just come use my grill.
Mike, it is not my call. If my call, I'd be living in Fishers or in Westfield right now.
Yeah, well. I'll tell you, you need to man up because right now you're just looking like one of those Super Bowl commercials last night where the women run
Well,
everything.
I don't know. Maybe I'll apply to be a head coach.
Of Indiana?
Yeah, why not?
You might as well. You had just as much college
I took my
experience as the
7th
last guy.
grade AAU basketball team to the championship game with an all-school team. It'd be like me going to get all Indiana boys to play at IU. That's what I would do. I say, screw it outside of
I
Indiana.
don't think there's enough good Indiana
NIU.
players to do that anymore.
You make them good.
Okay. All right.
I
Let's go
wasn't
ahead.
good enough to win a national championship when I went to IU.
Let's preview.
And wait, I've got a ring.
You weren't good enough to win a national championship until Isaiah Thomas showed up.
Oh, no shit. I got good real quick then.
He was from Chicago. All right, so
let me get my ring. There you go.
Michigan State is next. Now, Michigan State was
thing's
undefeated until February 1st when they fell on a West Coast trip to USC 70-64. They followed that up with a loss to UCLA 63-61. They were down 14 to Oregon the other day and looked like they were dead in the water. They came back, won the game 86-74 to save it. They're right now, I believe, a half game or a game behind Purdue for first place.
A half game behind.
And
they played one less game.
Well, yeah,
they'll probably be tied with them tomorrow.
Well, who's Purdue play?
They don't play Tuesday, that's for sure. So for a while, they'll be tied.
If you look at Michigan State, this is a team.
Oh wait, Purdue plays Indiana next.
Hey, luckily,
Michigan State will be back down a half a game.
Luckily, Michigan State's guards are what make them good. Jace Richardson scored 29 in the win over Oregon. Jaden Adkins scored 10. Trey Holloman, 13. This is the one thing I do know about Michigan State, though, that is a good thing. They're not a very good three-point shooting team, but they are extremely deep. They have a balanced roster. They play a 10-man rotation with each player averaging over 15 minutes per game, none more than 26. And the worry there is with Ballo and Renew, if you're playing them both, they're going to get wore out because, Ballo can't play more than 10 minutes without puking.
Hey, Brian makes a good point here. Problem is, Steve, today's game don't play fundamental motion offense. It's all threes. He's right. And the thing that I learned about the motion offense, it's unbeatable if you run it correctly. I don't care what you throw up against it, man-to-man wise, and you could even use your motion offense against the zone. We did. We stayed in motion. No, we didn't screen as much in a zone, but we changed positions. Like we did everything, but we made the motion, but we didn't screen. We just switched positions and kept them looking for people all the time. And eventually somebody would get free who's one of our shooters for a 10 to 15-foot jump shot. But now these guys, all they want to do, and it's the same thing in the crap-ass NBA. They just sit out there in that line. That line ruined basketball.
Yeah, and I think when you look,
Brian's right.
This is why the motion offense doesn't work. And it's not that it doesn't work, but this is why I think teams no longer do that. I think you've had a huge shift in all sports towards individualism and isolation. And if you look at the evolution of the game at the NBA,
Neil and Portal.
This is the influence of the NBA and, the emphasis on individual stars. This is basically more of a pick and roll dominance anymore. And that I think is a lot of NBA influence here, which hurts this because there is, put it like this, if you're going to run a challenge or a motion offense, Steve, you need trust and teamwork.
Motion offense is not easy to run.
Yeah,
it's hard to run.
You need the motion offense requires
people go where they're supposed to go.
It requires a high level of trust and teamwork. Players need to be comfortable passing up shots and making quick decisions.
You got to not care
better opportunities for teammates.
Right. You got to, we didn't care who scored.
Yeah, but I didn't care. The level of selflessness can be challenging to cultivate in the atmosphere we have today.
It wasn't in my era.
I know,
we all knew what our roles were, and we played them. And you know what? My ring looks just like Isaiah's ring, only his says Thomas, and mine says Risley on it. That's the only difference between our rings.
Well, and he probably put some diamonds and stuff on it by now, though.
Well, I got diamonds in mine. 5 of them.
I can
I
tell
don't
you.
wear them on my ass. I wear them on my
I
ring.
can tell you the other thing that has hurt us is most AU teams, high school teams, don't run it either. So when you have players entering college basketball, they have limited experience in running a motion offense. Hell, I remember when I was growing up, every high school in the 70s and 80s, or 90% of them
Running
in
motion.
Indiana, ran motion offense because
Right.
Bobby Knight ran motion offense.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what the first thing, if I was coaching that basketball team, the first thing I'd do, I'd take those freaking stars off their asses. You haven't earned any of those stars. You don't get to wear them. Hang your own banner, and then we'll put a star on your uniform.
We have Phil says hire Matt Painter away from the clowns.
They're
up
not going to
north.
get him away from there. He's not leaving Purdue.
No, he's happy there.
But I'll tell you who I like more and more. I like Hoiberg. I think Hoiberg would come. It's quiet out of Mike. He's thinking.
No,
Mike is thinking.
I'm thinking, how in the hell did you get to be this old, being that's so stupid? I mean, I would say this. If you're going to go to Iowa, you get Holtzberger, the guy or TJ Holtzberger, however the hell you say his name, is the head coach at Iowa State. He's the best coach in that area.
Is he going to leave Iowa State? He's got a power built there.
I know, but he's
why would anybody leave a great good gig just to come to Indiana? That's a
Brian Wetters likes Hoiberg too, because he did make the tournament once in the last 5 years.
Well, yeah, but where's he at? Nebraska?
Who? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What the hell? They don't do. They tip cows in Nebraska. That's all they do out there. They grow some corn.
Okay, Steve.
All right.
What do we do in Indiana?
It's not even a football school anymore.
Wait, what do we do in Indiana?
At least we're a football school now.
Well, that's
Nebraska's not even a football. Hey, let's go back to Johnny Rogers.
I would say this: if we're going to go ahead, we're going to talk about coaches because I think we both agree Michigan State is going to plunge in Indiana.
I guess there's nothing more we can say about it.
I would say this:
a carbon copy of the Big Ten season, game by game by game by game. We show flashes of brilliance. We show how great a team we can be. We show when five guys get their heads out of their tails and work together and play together as a core unit, they win. And they start pummeling teams because they come back from 20 points down and either take the lead or tie it. But then they go back to, oh, man, I got it.
You know what I think happens, Steve?
Right now because I got a nil check to collect.
Steve, I think they're so bad that when teams get up by 20 points on them, the other teams just kind of take some time off.
Oh, I think that too. Yeah, I agree there.
No, I'm going to throw some
How do they get paid their nil money? They get monthly, weekly, or how do they get
I don't know, and I don't care. So I'm going to say this. My top three guys.
Those guys aren't driving Escalades, every single one on that team right
Could
now.
we have a conversation instead of talking about Escalades? Because we started talking a little bit about who could possibly be the head coach. Okay. Who would be your top three? Who would be your top three if you could have anybody you want?
I like the guy from Ole Miss, Barnes. Is that his name?
No.
What's the guy's name from Ole Miss?
Chris Beard.
Beard Barnes. I was close enough. I like Hoiberg. And then from there, I don't know enough about the Dusty May.
Okay. I think Dusty May is possible. Dusty May never said in any of those questions.
Dude, Michigan's not going to let him leave.
They won't have a choice if he wants to leave. And Indiana will pay the buyout. TJ Otzelberger, I think, is the number one choice. He's a Midwest native. He's built one of the top programs in college basketball.
He did a D2 program, isn't he?
D2?
Where's he at?
TJ.
He's
Iowa
at Drake.
State.
Right?
They're ranked 8th in the country and would beat us by 100.
He's at Drake?
No, he's at Iowa State.
Iowa State guy. Yeah, I love him. You're not going to get him.
Okay.
Why would anybody of that caliber?
Why would Chris Beard leave Ole Miss?
Because the SEC is not Big Ten basketball. The only reason why.
Oh, my God. Are you still so antiquated that you believe that the Big Ten's better basketball than the SEC?
Yes, I do.
That is absolutely one of the dumbest things you've ever said.
USC and UCLA are going to start dominating here pretty soon.
What the hell is that?
They're attracting better players because they are in the Big Ten.
You're out of your mind.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
You can't even.
Brian, help me out here. Brian Waters, help me out.
Nobody's going to help you out.
Is the Big Ten going to continue to get better? Is UCLA, USC, Oregon?
Matter.
They're all going to start getting better quality players because they are part of the Big Ten.
Hold on.
The Big Ten is on every channel they're on Fox, they're on ABC, they're on NBC, they're on ESPN, they're on the Big Ten Network. You can't go any night and not get a Big Ten game now.
You can't do that and not get an
Mick
SEC game either.
Cronin, no,
And the
UCLA.
SEC has the
You don't
best
want that
coaches. They have the best players. Right now, the only team with a losing record in the SEC is South Carolina.
There's no teams with a losing record in the Big Ten.
That's fine. That's because they play in the Big Ten. All right, so this is what we've got. You've got teams
got an
that are
excuse
ranked.
for everything.
How many ranked teams are in the Big Ten?
I have no idea.
How
5,
many
I
ranked
think.
teams
Is it
are
5?
in the SEC.
I have no idea.
Right now, Kentucky is 10th in the SEC.
They cheat like a son of a bitch.
How can they cheat, Steve? It's legal to pay. They're 10th
That's right. Yeah.
in the SEC.
They can't, that's right. They opened up Wildcat Hall again. Of course, none of the players live in it because they all have horse farms.
Well, Steve, there's nobody.
With offspring of Secretariat on their
ranch. No way anybody with half a brain would compare Big Ten basketball to the SEC right now.
Well, I guess I only have half a brain.
Maybe. What's the drop-dead schedule for A.D. Dolson to hire a coach before transport activity, which is when? So I would say this. I don't think you see a coach until April unless it's a coach that lost.
You won't see a coach before the end of the year.
Huh? They're going to have a coach before the next season starts.
Yeah, Michael Houghton's right. Big Ten will get better with less cup. There'll be less cupcake games in the Big Ten.
Will there?
Yeah, because every team's going to get better now.
Are they?
Yeah, a rising tide rises all buoys.
That's bullshit because the tide's been rising and the SEC has risen right past the
SEC. How many national championships have SEC teams won?
I guarantee you they've won a lot more than the Big Ten in the last 25 years. The Big Ten has won one. Michigan State.
Name me an SEC team that's won a national championship in basketball.
Kentucky.
Okay, that's one. They were winning before the SEC was better. They were always winning.
They were always winning, but it doesn't matter.
There's 7 Big Ten championships, don't they? Or 7 national championships.
The last time a Big Ten team,
other than Kentucky, who else has won a national championship?
A quarter of a century ago.
Big Ten team
ago.
Okay,
when's the last one back-to-back championships, Steve?
Who? That was back when I was playing.
It was 15 years ago, Steve.
Oh shit. Okay.
Huh?
That's when they were cheating. There was no nil money back then.
You were cheating.
And Brian Wetters, an SEC team will win that. Brian, I'll bet you my championship ring on that.
I guarantee.
And you got to buy me an Escalade.
If I was you.
All right.
That's a bad bet, Stevie.
No, an SEC team will not win a national championship.
Do you know what the top 10 is right now, Steve?
That's somebody's stupid opinion. Like yours.
No, actually, no. I mean, because that's what gets you in. If you look at KenPom, you always give me KenPom numbers, but now you don't want to.
No,
right?
I believe KenPom's. It's an analytical way of saying who's ranked. Still, you got to go play the game.
Yeah, and they do, and they play right
now. That's why. Where is Purdue ranked in KenPom?
Hey,
where is Purdue ranked in KenPom?
Purdue? They're 7th.
So, do you think they'll win the championship this year? Hell no.
Well, I think they're 7th.
Purdue will never win a national championship.
This is absolutely the dumbest conversation we've ever had. Purdue is ranked 7th, so that would say they make it to the Elite 8.
2 years ago, weren't they ranked number 1?
You mean last year they were number 2 and they went to the championship game
and lost?
But they went there and they got beat by a UConn team that would have run the 81 Hoosiers out of the building.
I gotta believe. I feel for North Carolina every time I think of March 30th, 1981.
Why is that? They're still
because they got there and lost.
Yeah, and you know,
I cannot imagine getting to that game and losing.
So right now, the number 1 team in the country is Auburn. What conference they in, Steve?
SEC.
Number 6 team is Alabama. What conference they in?
Hell, I think I saw where Barkley didn't even think they're going to win.
He's
an Auburn grad.
What conference is Florida in? They're ranked 5th.
SEC.
Okay. What conference is Texas Tech in?
I guess you SEC. They're a newbie to the SEC.
No, they're not. You don't even know what conference they're in. Missouri. They're ranked 24th. They're in the SEC.
That's where I should have gone.
What conference is Iowa State in?
I was born in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Waynesville, Missouri.
State, who is 12th in the Big Ten or in the SEC, is ranked 31 overall in the country.
Okay.
It's not even close, Steve.
Okay.
It's not. The Big Ten's terrible. There's nobody in the Big Ten that's got a shot at winning a national title.
Okay. All right.
The national championship will come from Duke, Alabama, Auburn, or Houston, I believe. So, and Brian Wetters is, as always, dead on. We just need to add Brian to the show.
Well, have him take my place.
Why? It wouldn't be any fun then.
Well, you don't know. Brian might be a fun guy. Heck, I don't know. I'm just a dickhead, according to you.
I didn't say you were a dickhead. You said everybody said you were a dickhead.
Well, my son called me a dick because I told him to go to Dick's Sporting Goods. All right, enough humor. We've
that wasn't really funny.
Let's get on to coaching. Okay, what's our take on the coaching situation? I'm sure people are waiting to hear our opinion on
I tried to go to that, and then you went way out. I think this. I think there are 10 to 12 guys here that would all be good hires.
Sure, but will they come here?
You got T.J. Otzelberger. You got Chris Beard at Ole Miss. Ben McCollum at Drake. I know you won't like him because he's at Drake, but what the hell? He's a good coach. Billy Donovan at Chicago Bulls would be interesting.
Billy'd make him play hard. I know that.
And Billy get him to win. He won back-to-back national championships.
I'd like to see Billy have this team right now, all season.
Well, why would you wish that on Billy? He'd probably recruit guys that play hard.
This is a talented basketball team.
Yeah, but they don't play hard.
That's Billy would make them play hard.
Actually, I don't think anybody can make them play hard. So
okay.
I think they were bad recruits. I mean, they're all really good players. But I'll tell you a guy that never gets brought up to me that I think would be a great hire here is Greg McDermott from Creighton.
Yeah, I just guess I trust your intellect and coaching, hiring, and that crap better than I do. I just am snake bit a little bit by these mid-level majors.
How's he mid-major? He's in the big
Creighton, Drake. I mean, those are it's like Dayton, Creighton, Drake, Dayton. Where did Crean come from? Illinois State or something like that, or
no, he came from Dayton.
Dayton. Crean came from Dayton? No,
Crean didn't come from Dayton.
Miller came from Dayton. Where did Crean come from?
Oh, hell, I don't know.
Well, look it up.
No, you look it up. I want to know why you would equate a mid-major coach with the coach at Creighton.
I just think we've had enough of them and gotten nowhere with them.
Creighton is a big-time program in one of the top 4 or 5 division. I mean, the big. Okay. I'll tell you what. You just talked about how many times.
When I think of basketball power programs, I don't think of Drake or Creighton.
You don't think? I don't know what Drake has to do with Creighton. They're in the same area geographically. Greg McDermott has won 618 games. He's one of the best offensive minds in college basketball. He would fit the Indiana fan base perfectly. And he goes to the tournament
another mid-level program.
Who is Creighton?
Marquette.
Marquette's a mid-level program now.
Yeah. There was, and yeah. Crean came from Marquette. And they ran him out.
Dude, Marquette.
They didn't like him at Marquette.
He took Marquette to the Final Four.
I know, and they hated him.
They did?
Yeah. Okay. Don't you remember? They were like applauding when he left. And they said Indiana's a bunch of dumbasses. And Crean has actually been the best coach we've had in the last 20 years.
Well, all I can tell you is to think that Creighton is a mid-major program is absolutely absurd.
Okay.
When he got there, they might have been mid-major.
All right, okay.
But have you ever heard Steve, have you ever heard of UConn?
UConn?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a GM version of the Denali.
No, have you ever heard of the University of Connecticut, Steve?
Oh, Connecticut, yeah.
You have?
Yeah. They won a bunch of championships. They won like 2 in a row here just recently.
They won 6 in the last 25 years.
Okay, yeah. Well, who's their coach?
Are they mid-major?
No.
They're in the same conference as Creighton.
Well, has Creighton won 6 championships? Has Creighton won 1 championship?
No. Nobody in the Big Ten has won 1 championship in the last 24 years.
Okay, well, then UConn has. I mean, there's other schools that have, yes. Because the Big Ten got soft on itself.
Okay, so you're equating somebody who coaches at a conference as 1 more national championship.
I still say, exposure-wise, the Big Ten is the best conference to be in.
Oh, God.
Well, that's what puts money into athletic departments.
Yeah, sure it is. The SEC has a bigger TV contract now.
No, they don't.
Oh, Steve.
I will bet you all the tea in China on that one.
I guarantee you this: the top 3 teams in the Big East are better than the top 3 teams in the Big Ten.
Right now, yes, I would not dispute that. There's not a great team in the Big Ten right now.
There hasn't been a great team. Purdue had a great team last year. The problem was UConn, that mid-major Big East team.
Oh, no, I've never called UConn a mid-major. When you win 6 championships, you're not a mid-major anymore.
And you're not in a mid-major conference.
I don't even know what conference
you just
they're
said
in.
Creighton was
what
a
conference
mid-major
is UConn
program.
in? What conference is UConn in?
UConn, they're in the Big East with Creighton.
Okay. All right.
And Marquette and Xavier and Villanova, all teams that have had massive success in the tournament. A lot more than what anybody in the Big Ten has had.
Yeah.
So you don't like Greg McDermott because you don't think he's a legit coach.
How old is Greg McDermott?
How old is Greg McDermott? I think he's in his early 50s, mid-50s.
Yeah. See, I don't want somebody that old. I want somebody. I want a Dusty May.
Yeah.
I want somebody young.
But see, this is the thing. Last year, what I said.
Our program around to be here for 29 years.
Last year, I tried to tell everybody Dusty May should have been here, and you remember because we had somebody on our show back then, that little midget fag dude down in Florida, who said that
leave him alone. You're gonna get sued.
Dusty May would be a fit. You can't sue me for saying the truth. You just can't. And you also can't sue me for anything I say on the podcast. And I mean, I said the little fag looking guy. I never called him a fag. But when you look at this, and I'm sure he doesn't watch the show anyways, Steve. But
he doesn't miss the show. Are you kidding?
60 years old. And he is easily gettable. And he can last for another 10 years. Now, Bill Belichick's 72. And he's got a 24-year-old girlfriend. He's the new head coach at North Carolina.
Yeah. And he's going to have money poured into the UNC.
And Brian brings up the fact you're way too old for Dawson.
I am way too old for Dawson. I would tell Dawson not to hire me, even if he called me right now and said,
"Is Bruce Pearl
you are number one choice?" I said, "Scott, you're a dumbass. Don't hire me."
Is Bruce Pearl too old to hire?
No.
Do you know how old Bruce Pearl is?
60s, probably.
Which means he's older than Greg McDermott, who you said was too old.
Bruce Pearl's a proven coach.
So is Greg McDermott.
I've never heard of him.
Then you don't really know much about college basketball.
Okay.
We don't. I mean, if you compare him and Bruce Pearl.
Okay.
What's Bruce Pearl done? He went to
all right. Wait. Let's start this from the beginning. Where do you see the Woodson era failed? Without being shitty.
I'm not being shitty. I already told you this when they hired him. He's never coached. He's never been a successful coach. He was in the NBA. It does not count. It's too different. It's apples and oranges. I mean, it failed because he never should have been hired because he's not a coach. And I believe a young guy that relates to players is true, too. I think Oslenberger or Ben McCollum from Drake are the two perfect guys to be the head coach here.
It has to be a young player who relates. Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly, Brian, too.
Which is Oslenberger or McCollum or May.
Or May.
As good as TJ.
Yeah, let me say this. It's not a fun day or a fun week for me. Mike Woodson, as you've heard me say often, is a great guy. He's a poster child. Listen to me. He's a poster child for Indiana basketball. He was one time the all-time leading scorer in the Big Ten. Huh?
He's a poster child for DEI.
He's a good man. He was a great representative of the university. He's who you wanted to succeed and be our coach as long as he wanted to be. Everything you said about it is true. But it still doesn't discount the fact that I'm very sad for Mike and Terry, that I think he genuinely wanted to be here. I think this was his home, and he wanted this to work, and we wanted it to work. It just didn't work. And, now he leaves. I don't know how he leaves. I hope the next time he enters Assembly Hall, he gets a standing ovation.
Well, I don't.
And he deserves that.
Be here. This team could still make the NCAA tournament. Somebody else needs to coach them. I mean, he needs to have some respect for the
Well,
university.
that's not going to happen.
I
So,
know because he's just that kind of person. So I'm sorry. It just
well,
he
I
failed.
don't know that he didn't want to leave. I mean, we heard rumors he wanted to walk out and leave.
I'm pretty sure he could walk out and leave whenever he wanted. I don't think he
Well,
has
not
to.
at the tune of losing $9 million.
I know because money is more important. And see, that is how his team is coached. Money is the thing.
Well,
It's
that's
not about the team. It's not about the
the
university.
world
It's
in which
about
we
the money.
live in.
It's about me, me. It's not the world we live in. It's the
It's
world
not.
that people sometimes live in when they're complete and utter failures at life.
So you're telling me that if Barstool Sports called you and said, Mike, we want to pay you $10 million a year to come on
I
our
would never
show.
go to Barstool Sports because all they do is have half-naked women saying stupid crap. And no,
Okay.
I'm not down. And I can tell you this right now. I coach high school football. I at a smaller place. I get offered bigger jobs all the time that would pay more money, and I constantly turn them down because that's not what I'm looking for.
When I hit the lottery, I'm going to buy an NFL team and put it in Batesville, Indiana, and you can coach that team. So you can stay home in Brookston or Brookville or wherever the hell it is you live. Aurora.
Michael Houghton says Woodson would have been better right after night. See, I don't get this. I don't know why people don't understand that he can't coach. He's never been able to coach. He was
Mike needed college experience. I mean, and I think he
no. This is
that.
the thing. People don't understand. Tell me how many great players were great coaches. It doesn't happen. I mean, was Larry Brown a great player? No. Bobby Knight was the sixth man at Ohio State. Mike Krzyzewski was an undersized guard at Army. Dean Smith was a decent basketball player at North Carolina. This is how this goes, Steve. Great players don't understand how to be great coaches because they never really had to be coached overly.
Well, and my
Isaiah Thomas was a horrible coach also.
My theory on that, too, also is that guys like Magic and Isaiah and Bird, they don't understand why players can't all play to their level.
That's what I mean.
And they get frustrated trying to coach him because, like, God damn it, why can't you just do what I did? Excuse me for using GD.
Well, put it like this.
You don't like that.
Pete Rose took the Reds to second place, 85, 86, 87. Of course, he gets run out of town because they bring in Lou Piniella. Pete Rose was a Hall of Fame player. Lou Piniella was a very good player who worked really hard. Lou Piniella takes him and wins the World Series immediately.
Lou Piniella's in the Hall of Fame, isn't he?
No,
I thought he was.
No, he was like a 275, 280 lifetime hitter. He was a very good player, made a few all-star teams, but he wasn't a legendary player.
Well, I think Mike's failure just was that he had no college experience coming into the situation and did not know how to, as Brian would say, relate to the players and manage and coach them. It is a different cat than the NBA. We all know that.
I would say this.
You're a babysitter in the NBA. You're not a coach.
If you're going to be a great coach, you have to be able to develop culture, and you have to do it the first day.
Right. There's no culture. I don't feel there's a visible culture.
There's a culture of selfishness, which is what leads to what we've got.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
Which is a failure to communicate.
It does not take away from. I don't want it taken away from Mike as a person. It's what I don't want.
Okay.
Well, I'll defend him to the grave. I know him as a person. You
can defend him to the grave. You don't know him. You knew him.
I don't know him as a coach, no, but I knew him as a person.
Okay.
I know him as a person.
Okay.
And I will defend Mike Woodson's character until I'm dead.
Well, maybe he should have coached that way then.
Well, if the job was that easy, we'd all be doing it.
No, I would say this. The job is really easy if you do the job. If you allow guys to do whatever the hell they want, you never punish them. You never sit them on their ass and make them watch because stuff was going bad. This is what you get. So he may be a great guy, but the coaching thing did not work out too well for him. If you look up Woodson, the Knicks had the same complaints we all have right now. They did. He took them actually to the playoffs. And I think I had this with the little dude from Florida, this argument. But when you look up everything, it was the fact that the offense wasn't imaginative, and the players ruled the team. Carmelo Anthony specifically. Brian Winters.
Patrick Ewing.
Yes, he ran the team. No, he didn't have Patrick Ewing. Yes, he ran the team like the NBA because he lacked experience at college. I mean, he just lacked experience coaching basketball. Coaching basketball is not coaching in the NBA.
I would guess it to be a very hard transition to go from being a player to a good coach. And just what you were talking about earlier. Yes, it's very difficult.
But all right, guys, we're going to have to wrap this up. We will be back sometime Wednesday or Thursday with.
So what's our prediction for tomorrow at Michigan State?
I'm going to do this like Clubber Lang did in Rocky 3. Pain. I think Michigan State wins this game.
And I'm going to do it like Rocky Balboa did. Go for it.
I think pain is more likely. I'm going to say Michigan
Go for
State.
it.
I'm going to say Michigan State 82.
That don't hurt. Hit me harder. Come on.
Michigan State 82.
That don't hurt.
Indiana 55. I think this team is going to come out at some point in the next 3 or 4 games.
I think Michigan State's backs are to the wall right now. I think that they're pissed off. They lost 2 big games and almost lost a third. I saw an interview today with Izzo, very humble. I guess he passed Knight with the Oregon win.
Yeah.
For most all-time Big Ten wins.
He tied it. He could break it against us.
How about that? He breaks it against IU. How apropos is that? So yeah. I think he's going to throw the game because after listening to him talk about Knight today, he puts Knight in the highest reference. I don't think he's going to win.
Everybody does that when they're breaking a record.
I think he's got a respect for Knight. He's going to wait and do it the next game.
Well, if you should go to BetMG him and put a large bet on Indiana.
True culture and experience is a must. Younger is better. I agree, Michael. Younger is better. I don't want to see him get anybody. I want to see him get somebody in the 30s. I want a young coach. What's Dusty May?
I think you got to get Bill Belichick's girlfriend.
Oh, come on.
That she could recruit.
Hey, she's good looking.
She could recruit.
Why are you pissed at Belichick for laying his hands on that?
No, I think it's actually disgusting when you look at these wrinkled up ass with her.
Well,
more power to him, but it just
more power to him. Yeah,
seems kind of like a pervert. I mean,
yeah, it's very pervertish, but more power to him.
My rule is this: if you're younger than my daughter, I think that's kind of sick.
Here's the moral of that story: money talks and bullshit walks.
Well, all I can tell you, the moral of that story is: look at those two.
It's not a match. It's kind of like Woodson and IU.
It's not Woodson and IU is not as bad as that. So, but more power to the old shit. But I get you. I just probably die of a heart attack any second.
We all should really feel bad for Mike that it didn't work. But there are reasons why it didn't.
He made like $9 million, right?
No, well, he's getting $9 million to walk away. Who knows?
Yeah, he still made $4 million. Say he's going to make $20 million. Why
$29 million. He probably made $4 million a year for 4 years, $16 million, plus another $9 to walk away. So he's
gonna make $20-25 million.
He'll get that over a deferred payment schedule. He'll have mailbox money the rest of his life.
All right. We will be back sometime at.
It's a sad day for me. I want that on record, and everybody that watches this show to listen. I am not happy about it. I'm sad about it, but it needed to be done. It's kind of like putting Old Yeller down. You don't want to do it.
No, it's not nearly as bad as Old Yeller getting put down.
Please clap for not boo. Yeah, I agree. Clap for him. Respect him as a great representative of Indiana basketball that he is. He came and tried to resurrect the program. It did not work. Thank him for trying, not booing for failing. That's what we should do. Thank him for trying, but don't boo him for failing.
I wonder what Bob Knight would say if he heard you say that.
He'd say exactly that.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, you bet your
bottom. Because I heard Bobby Knight before.
I know Bob Knight. You don't know Bob Knight.
All I know is this.
He had so much love for Mike Woodson. There's no way he was having anything
negative about Mike. I can tell you this. Anybody can try, Steve. Got to do it.
I can't. I'd go try tomorrow if it was offered to me.
No, you wouldn't. You're not allowed to leave California because Tia won't let you.
Oh, I think I could do it for that.
I don't think she'd let you leave.
Yeah, I'd have to live in Indianapolis, but
she ain't letting you leave. You're
I just get an apartment.
Maybe you can see if you could coach the team over Zoom. Be like a COVID thing.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye. All right, guys. Follow us on X. You can follow Steve Risley at S. Risley.
Are we doing a show after the Michigan State game or the next day or Wednesday or what?
Probably. We'd have to do Wednesday at like noon my time because I have a meeting at 1:15 that day.
I got to get up. Oh, Okay.
You're always up that early,
It wasn't this morning.
Steve.
You
called
woke me
me.
up with a phone
You
call.
called me. I didn't call you.
I texted you.
You texted me
Right.
at 8 your time this morning.
Because I said, don't call. I didn't want you to call me because I was trying to sleep. I watched the Traders until 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I'm hooked on this show, The Traders, now.
Never even heard of it.
I know. It's a game show on Peacock.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead. We're going to wrap it up. You can follow me on X at Grilling Truth. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification on YouTube. But for now, I'm Mike Goodpaster. He's Steve Risley. You've been watching and listening to The Grilling Truth.